I've been to over 50 countries, mostly solo, and people always ask me how I can afford it. In this video, I'm breaking down the 3 travel tips that allowed me to get free accommodation, make meaningful connections, and explore the world on a budget without breaking the bank. So, why is getting free accommodation so important? It's because it's usually your number one biggest expense while you're traveling. I can tell you it's allowed me to travel a lot more and for longer just because I don't have to worry about paying this large amount of money for rent all the time. These methods are perfect if you're a slow traveler, if you're working remotely, if you're a creator, and you just want to see more of the world, but stop paying all that money on accommodation. And I can tell you, as someone who is from Toronto, Canada, one of the most expensive cities in the country, that I pay far less while traveling for my accommodation than I do living somewhere in Toronto. All right, so the number one platform I have used to get free accommodation is one I've talked about so many times on this channel. I'm not even joking, this company has come up more times than I ever imagined it would, and it is World Packers. World Packers is a volunteer platform that is kind of an exchange where you will give some hours of work in exchange for free accommodation and sometimes food and activities as well. The type of volunteer work really differs depending on the country that you want to go to. For example, you might be doing reception work, cleaning work, social media work, or you could be working at a school. There's so many different options on this platform, and I've done, I think, 5 or 6 of them already. One of my favorites was working at a co living in Tenerife and doing their social media, and it allowed me to stay there for over a month and only pay $340 for all of my expenses for the month, which I think is an amazing deal and something you won't find on many other platforms. That was like all my food, my drinks, my activities. The only thing that I had to pay for was really just activities and like eating out. So I got a lot of that for free. Like my entire accommodation was free and I barely spent anything for that month. I think that was actually my total cost for 5 weeks. And I rented a car for a couple days. I did quite a bit. So I'm really impressed with how little money I spent on that trip. One of the biggest pro was meeting incredible people that were also volunteering. I had such a good time meeting other volunteers and volunteering in a group setting. There are some experiences I've done that haven't been as good because there hasn't been as many volunteers, and I really enjoy working with other people. So I would recommend looking for ones that have a couple people applying to them and going to be there while you're there. Of course, there are some cons, like you have to apply in advance. So if you don't really know where you're going to be in a couple months, it might be hard to choose a place. You also usually have to share a space and you don't always have your own room, but sometimes you do luck out. So I would look out for places that offer a private room as well. If you want to check out my other videos, I have a whole playlist on World Packers that talks about pros and cons more in depth. So go check that out. And if you don't have a membership already and want to get one, I have 20% off. I will leave in the description box below. Another big travel hack is house sitting. I talk about this a lot on this channel as well. And I also have a playlist about it. So go check those videos out too and come back to this one or watch those after. But house sitting has been incredible, especially when I want to have a place to myself and not have to worry about sharing it with other people or interacting. Like when I have low energy and want to be more on my own, or if I'm traveling with my partner, then we want to have our own space. We don't really want to be doing all this volunteer work and it can just take up a lot of your time. House sitting is incredible because you really only have to take care of these pets. And if you like pets, that's a really easy task to do. I love cats, so I look out for cats specifically when I'm doing house sits because, first of all, they're so cute. Secondly, they are so easy to take care of, a lot easier than dogs. You don't have to spend any time walking them. So, if you're looking for something that is low responsibility but allows you to live and work from a different place without spending any money on accommodation, then house sitting is it. You do have to pay for a membership as well, and I also have a discount code I will leave for 25% off in the description box. But I think it's so worth it. I've done it, I think, 6 times now in the UK, Ireland, US, and Copenhagen. So all of them have been incredible. I personally loved the ones with cats more than the ones that had dogs just because of the time commitment. And I think it's perfect if you're working remotely and want to score some free accommodation. And my last travel hack is doing content exchanges. And by that, I mean getting videos and photos for hotels or hostels. Don't be limited by hotels and think that you don't have a big enough audience to reach out to them. You can always start out with hostels because that's how I started out with one in San Diego. I think I got a free week there just because I didn't want to spend the money on the accommodation. I reached out to them. I had maybe 3,000 followers on Instagram. I didn't have a big following at all. And they gave it to me for free for the week. I was in a dorm room. All I did was take some videos and I created, I think, one reel. And I don't even know if reels were a thing then. I think I did some TikToks and gave them a few photos. Every sort of exchange is going to be different depending on who you're working with, but I typically will offer one TikTok and one reel and some photos, and I usually go above and beyond and give them extra content as well just so that it leaves a good impression and we could work together again in the future. I recently did a content exchange in Bordeaux and stayed there for a week with a co-living called Outsite, and we just agreed on, I think, one reel and one TikTok, something like that. I've worked with them before, so I knew what to expect. And it is honestly pretty easy if you're already taking content, to just incorporate that into what you typically put out there. And I've done these exchanges for content all around the world. I've done it in over 10 countries now. So it is so doable and you don't need to have a big audience. I also did one in Cape Town with a hotel for a couple nights when I had maybe 5,000 on Instagram and I think 30 or 40,000 on TikTok. So you don't need a big following to make this happen. You do have to pitch to these hotels in order to get these experiences. And don't let them walk all over you because I had one recently that I was pitching to and almost signed with to do a gifted exchange, but they wanted so much content from me, like an absurd amount of free content that they really should have paid for, and they wouldn't budge on that. So I had to decline. But remember, you are going to have to reach out to these people. They're probably not going to come knocking on your door. So if you want to get access to a pitching guide, I also have that, which I will link for you. It, I think, is only $5. I want it to be really accessible for you guys. So go check it out if you want to see exactly what I say to email and DM brands and get them to reply to me. So, as you can see, these three tips are a great way to save money while you're traveling. I have saved thousands on accommodation by doing this, and it's allowed me to travel for over 3.5 years now, full time. It is one of the best ways you can save money while you're traveling. And it's honestly been a really cool experience, especially creating content because it allows you to be really creative. If you miss your pets when you're traveling, house sitting is amazing. And if you want to connect with other people, then World Packers is great because you can build these meaningful connections. Let me know if you've tried any of these travel hacks before and what you thought of them. Or if you need help getting started, leave a comment below. Make sure you're subscribed because I put up 2 new videos every single week. And I'll see you next week for another video. Bye.